Hey guys, it's Editing Bobby here. I actually filmed this video before I filmed my Left Behind the Kids video. So you're going to notice at the end of this, I mentioned potentially reading those books. Spoiler, I read the book and ended up getting the first six. But yeah, I just wanted to drop this here because I'm releasing things out of order. Kind of thought I'd explain that. Also, and this is something I didn't know when I shot the video, I mentioned the Sunset Island series. And I think I say they're hard to find in the video. What I didn't know is recently the first 10 books have actually been released on Kindle. And I think the first one actually has a reprint, like a print-on-demand reprint, as well as an AI Audible book, which I'm not recommending because I listened to the First off, I want my audiobooks to be read by actual people. I love people kind of giving a performance. You're not getting that with the AI. But also, and this is a biggie, the AI voice struggles with the phrase au pair and calls it au pair. But, they're available. So the first 10 Sunset Island books are actually available out there if you want to check them out, which I did not know when I shot this originally. All right, let Past Bobby take over from here after the title card. Hello, welcome to Trash with a capital T. Don't know where that came from. I'm just coming off of work, so I'm a little tired. I'm very sweaty right now because my office is super hot. Yeah, so I thought I'd do another kind of a recommendation video. This is, yeah, kind of, but I'm not going to recommend specific books. No, today we're going to get a little more fun, and we're going to jump from horror to another area that is near and dear to my trashy heart. And if you look around horror booktube, you'll notice that a lot of horror booktubers also love these kinds of books. And I am talking about the wonderful world of 80s and 90s YA teen fiction. Now, this is not YA teen horror from the 90s. We're not talking Point or Fear Street or Christopher Pike today. Well, he actually does come up, but different context. No, we are talking the wonderful world of soapy teen serials. Why would we be talking about those? Because I love them. And I always, like with everything else, when I cycle out of one thing, I cycle into another. My brain is cycled into these. I thought, why not explore them in a video? So I'm going to be recommending 3 series. Let's say 3. I might pop a 4th if I can think of one. But I actually don't have a ton of experience with a lot of the older series. I have some that I haven't read. I have some that I read that I thought were very good. But the ones I'm going to mention are ones that I've read and I enjoy. And I've read usually more than one book within the series. Okay, I got to get some notes up that I had up on the screen. So pardon me dropping out. I have my computer over here. Let's see if I can turn this without knocking it over. Here's my computer. I was doing some research for something else. And if you could see what that screen said, you'll have an idea of what I'm thinking about. Actually, that is going to be the 4th thing we're going to talk about. And it's more of a, if you're interested, I might put myself through the hell of reading these. So, yeah, when we talk about 80s and 90s soapy teen book series, we got to start with Granddaddy, the mega series, Sweet Valley High. I have read several of the Sweet Valley High books. I have a bunch in front of me right now because I bought a small book lot of the first 5 books of one of the spin-off series. So Sweet Valley High starts with Double Love. The series is created by Francine Pascal, but Francine Pascal did not write, I don't know if she wrote any of the original books. She developed the series, and I think she plotted them out, and then the outlines were handed out to ghostwriters. The first book that introduced Elizabeth and Jessica Wakefield was Double Love. I think I've already said that. And the series follows their life and their friends' lives in Sweet Valley. And we get a lot of soapy drama, who's dating who's cheating on who. You also deal with some more serious issues like drunk driving, abusive relationships. terminal illnesses. You do get this big soapy stuff as well. There are evil twins. There are murderers. Gets a little wacky. There's a vampire. I think there's a werewolf at some point. They do a little like Friday the 13th knockoff. Not super gory, very tamed down. But the book is, it's a trilogy, and one of the books is actually called Camp Killer, I think. I actually have one on order. I forget the name of it. It's one of the super thrillers that they did where they're at a spa and the spa owner is trying to steal the faces of several of the women who are there. There's a murder. It sounds absolutely bonkers, and I can't wait to read it. But it is the granddaddy of this series. And actually, I had never really read it when I was growing up. I read it as an adult, and it came up because one of the books, actually, let me look up which book number it is, but it is it Amy's True Love? There it is. Okay. Number 75. Sweet Valley High, number 75, Amy's True Love, introduces a gay character into the series. Now, the gay character actually only shows up for this one book. But he is not, it's not a hint. He is gay, and the subject of coming out, acceptance, stuff like that does come up. It's not the rosiest depiction, but it wasn't unrealistic for the time that it was released. This book came out in 1991. You really did not see stuff like that in pop lit for kids, unless, like, you maybe saw it in like very special episodes on TV, but it wasn't really talked about. And that character is kind of the catalyst for one of the other characters in the story to question their sexuality and kind of try and get things figured out for themselves. And they don't get an answer in that book, and I don't think they do end up turning out to be gay, but they were never a major character to begin with. But it's an interesting, I read it and I was actually pleasantly surprised by the handling of the subject matter. And then when I read Double Love, I was like, oof, it's all goofy and fun, and they can go soapy too. The vampire books are nuts. There's a trilogy. I want to say it's set in London. I haven't read it in a long time. The super thrillers get really fun. And then there was a crap ton of spin-offs, which actually I'm going to show you some of them. So when the main series ended, it ended with this big disaster, which really was them saying we need to shake this up because we are heading into the later 90s. This was 1999. So we're getting ready to jump into the new millennium. The books are dated. The kids need to kind of grow up. They've been in high school now for over 2 decades, probably almost 2 decades. So we need to change things up. So they do this big disaster. It's an earthquake. Character dies. Houses are destroyed. And what that earthquake does is it causes another high school to kind of force its students into Sweet Valley, which creates this new conflict. It also introduces a new cast of characters who can be a little darker and edgier and punkier than the clean cut, going to the burger shop for a malt kind of characters that you had with the original series. And that introduces what I actually just got in the mail. And I'm very excited because I already started reading one. Sweet Valley High senior year. Look at how 90s, this 99, this takes me back. In 99, I would have been I was a freshman in high school. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a long time ago. But it introduces edgier characters, darker subject matter. The subject of sex had always been like kind of under the surface, but the characters obviously are not having sex on page. But while that was going on, they actually had already done a series where the characters had gone on to college. This one started in 93, so this definitely has more of the old school feel to it. But that is not Special Victims Unit. Not Sweet Valley Special Victims Unit. It didn't go that dark. That would be an interesting Dick Wolf series. No, Sweet Valley University. In this one, it was the characters were older. You introduced a slightly more mature, but this really has the feeling of the old books. This one is trying to definitely be more, we're part of the new millennium. Yeah, and I love this. If you look up here, let me make sure I line up the camera. There's an offer for an NSYNC cassette inside this book. I obviously it does not, like, you go mail it. I still got it. It came with the book. These books are in great condition. You can mail that in and they would give you an NSYNC cassette because this was when NSYNC was starting up. But fun soapy drama. These books were done so you could kind of hop in anywhere. It did work better if you read from book to book because there were little plot lines that carried through, specifically when it came to relationships like Elizabeth and Todd breaking up, making up, breaking up, making up, breaking up, making up, dating other people, dating each other again. Don't think they actually ended up together, and by this one they're broken up again. So if I remember correctly, by the time we get to the adult series that came out in the 2010s, which is Sweet Valley Confidential, I'm pretty sure Todd is actually married to Elizabeth's sister Jessica, and the brother's gay. So, ooh. But yeah, they are soapy and fun. They do deal with serious issues. They don't always take them very seriously. They do their best. But if you are interested in 90s teen lit, definitely not a bad series. I would say start with the original series just because it's the best way to get like a quick introduction to kind of the rose-colored California dream life that is Sweet Valley High. However, I mean, there are people getting like kidnapped and stuff too, so it isn't all, you know, sunshine and roses, but it's definitely like, it's a soap opera. So money is not really a problem unless it needs to be for a storyline. That makes sense. Okay, so say you want to go a little farther back. Now, this is a series that is going to be a little harder to find. They are out there. They do cost a little more, but you got to be careful because the quality of some of these books is pretty rough. My copies, while definitely readable, are rough. I actually got a box set before the price on these went up, so I was able to get the first 4 books, and that is the Cheerleaders series. And I haven't read all 4 of these yet. I've actually only really did I read all of part 2? I don't know if I read all of part 2, but I definitely read the first one. I loved it. First one is Trying Out by Carolyn B. Cooney. This one is a freaking fun book. It flies by, tight plot, and Carolyn B. Cooney she knows how to write a YA book, like this style of YA book. She was doing it. She was writing horror. She was writing this. She's been writing, I think she wrote some romances, some thrillers. Like, she knew what she was doing, and she did a wonderful job establishing the series here. And we get a wide range of characters. All of them on the cover look like they're about 45 and smoke 2 packs a day. But, you know, I think partially that's because of how old my book looks. And the photos are not in great condition. But yes, you have the great photo covers. These are, like I said, a little trickier to find. You're going to spend a little more, but they're worth it to read. I do have stuff I collect. I collect media tie-in books, stuff like that. But when it comes to this type of stuff, I really don't try and collect it unless I'm going to read it. Because otherwise you end up with a stack of like 30 books you're never going to read. Fun fact, so Carolyn B. Cooney wrote this one and she wrote the third one. The person who wrote the second one is none other than Christopher Pike. Yes, he of Last Vampire and Remember Me. My personal favorite Christopher Pike book is Monster, but that's for a different video that I'm planning and working in my head. Yeah. This one I actually didn't like as much. He did not feel like he was comfortable with this type of material. And if you look at his books, he didn't write a lot of books like this. I think this was really the only one he did. Who wrote this? Was this Scholastic? This was Scholastic. So he probably did it because he was contractually obligated to do it. It's fine. It moves the plot along. But these, I will say at least with the first 2 that I've gotten through, these definitely have a lot more connective tissue. So I don't know if these were released like a month apart, but it did take, I'm just going to do this. When I finished this one, I took a lot of time off because I was actually searching for this one. This one is harder to find because more people snapped it up because it's Christopher Pike. So there was a gap of time between the 2 books when I read them, and I was a little in the dust with this one because I couldn't remember who everyone was, and I didn't get a lot of refreshers. With the Sweet Valley High books, you get a better idea of who everyone is. Like, they introduce you to the important people within that story and give you a better idea of who they are. But this series is early, like these are the first 4 books, so it might just be more that they were establishing them. I do know the characters do swap out in this book. Characters graduate from high school. They tried to keep the timeline more realistic, but the storylines are soapy fun. Again, same type of thing. You're talking 90210 level 90210A, 90210 level stories. Characters really are not doing anything too shocking. It's not like anyone is like doing party lines of cocaine and then having an orgy. They might be contemplating drinking and maybe making out with their boyfriend. Sex does come up. I will say this one, I was a little shocked by how forward some of these characters were because that was not common at the time. This book came out, I want to say in 85. 85. I guess correctly. Hey, so I was 1 year old when this book came out. And this copy was owned by Melanie someone. They signed their book. I love when I get old books like this and they have that. Yeah, but I would recommend this. I know a lot of people love this series. The books are out there. If you look on eBay, you can find lots. Amazon, the prices are probably going to be a little steep. But if it's something that interests you, check them out. I don't know if they're on Open Library, and I'm not going to tell you if they are because I'd rather support an independent seller. I hate saying that, but if they're really like cost prohibitive, then that might be something to look into if they got it. Who knows? Yeah, I got so the box set, I still have the box, and it's kind of falling apart in my hands as I'm holding it. So they released the box set of the first 4 books, and that's what I grabbed. It is so nicotine. It does not smell like smoke, but this thing is so yellowed. It so looks nicotine stained, but I love this thing. All right, so third series. This is pushing us back. This is actually pushing us back into the 90s. I want to say like mid 90s. And I actually read the first couple ones of these, and I enjoyed the heck out of them. Same type of story. So I'm not going to say read all of these at once. Like, if you are interested, pick a series. I've had that Cheerleaders box set for a while. And I just thought to pull it up for this video. And I might actually touch on those if I'm still in the mood for a little 90s or a little YA drama. But pick a series and go with it. Don't like pick 6 series because the books will blend together. You're dealing with a lot of the same plot lines. You're dealing with a lot of the same kind of character types. There's a lot, it's nothing, you're not going to be getting a lot of difference unless you're picking up something that is taking place in a very different setting. I know there's one like University Hospital is one where you have like med students. So you're dealing with slightly older characters. But that is actually by the author of the series I'm about. No, that one's a different author, I think. Sorry. The one that I am going to say, the final series I'm going to recommend, though, is Sunset Island by, I don't know if it's Sherry or Cherry Bennett. It's Cherie. I had a blast with this one. You have a group of girls who are hired. They go through a program to be hired as au pairs to work on Sunset Island, and they meet boys, but they're also on their own, and they have to take, they have responsibilities, and they're caring for these kids. And it's them trying to like figure out how to be grown-ups. And it was fairly low drama. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And all of these read fast. These books are all like 200 pages. And that series is another one that ran for a while. It was pretty popular. They have the wonderful, I'm going to pop probably the first book's cover up here. They had the wonderful photo covers, bright colors, goofy titles. Sunset Island I love, and this was actually a common trope with these kinds of series that I could think of, where they would like have a word, like there's this one where it's sunset and then like a descriptor for what the story is. So it would be like sunset kiss, sunset deception, sunset manslaughter, I think there was a series that followed a band that was like Wild Hearts, and then it would be like Wild Hearts, Wild Dreams, Wild IBS, No, Wild IBS did not exist as a book. Although if it did, I'm pretty sure a lot of people who wanted to read it back then would definitely relate to it now. Yeah, so those are the ones I would definitely recommend to start with. If you're interested, do a little hunting. You're going to have to do hunting with these. Other than the Sweet Valley books, which are not all of them. The first chunk, probably like the first 10, are pretty widely available. But once you start getting into the higher numbers, the 80s, the 90s, I was able to get Amy's First Love on digital. I had to buy it. It was not on Kindle Unlimited. The first couple books are. But some of the later books, you're going to be hunting, which is fine. A lot of them, I got the first 5 senior yearbooks for, I want to say it's like $15, which considering the price some of these books can go for, that's pretty damn good. So the one I was going to I've been teetering on, and this is one that would be more abusive to myself, but I've always been curious. And if you find this video and you're curious, and I'm going to run this by you guys. I don't think I'm going to get any responses in the comments, but if I do, it'll help me with my thought process. Sorry if I keep adjusting myself. It looks weird. I know I'm coming towards the camera. Sitting for too long hurts. I think I mentioned this in a last video. I did lose some weight, and for some reason, sitting for long periods of time is just become painful. Don't get old. You have no choice, but if you can find a way to avoid your body decaying, take better care of yourself than I did. Oh, doggy. So the one I'm debating, I had contemplated doing a podcast about this series, about the main series, many moons ago. And then after rereading the first book, decided for my own mental health, it ain't happening. And that series is Left Behind. So just to give you guys an idea, I, well, not a religious person now, grew up in a fairly conservative religious environment, very Catholic household. Didn't go to Catholic school, went to evangelical, non-denominational Christian schools. Great schools, got out of there with a great education. Not going to deny them that. But the environment in those types of places at the time was quite, what's the right word? Traumatizing. It was traumatizing. And it was a lot of prepare to be a martyr for the Christian religion. I'm not going to get too far into that. But part of what led that, there were two big factors at the time. And one of those factors was the release of the Left Behind books, which are about the rapture, which is when Jesus comes back and scoops up all the Christians and takes them buck naked up to heaven because it leaves only their clothes behind. So there's heaven is apparently a nudist resort, according to these books. Didn't know that one, but you learn something new every day. So the reason I bring it up in this video is because what I'm contemplating, and I do not recommend anyone read these books. I have not read them. I do not know the content, but I do know for some people, especially people who grew up in a similar environment as I did, this stuff can be quite mentally triggering. Religious trauma is a real thing. And I hate saying it, but the rapture stuff, as goofy as I find these books now, that constant fear of not being chosen, of being left behind to suffer during the tribulation, was something that did a lot of damage to a lot of people. It just did. You hear people talk about it now, and it's like they're flashbacks. However, there was a series of books. I can't read the main series. I have read the first book twice. It is painful. It was not good. And there was weird political asides in the book that had nothing to do with the main story that just made me go, why? Like the person who works at an abortion clinic who's disappointed because all the babies got raptured so they have nothing to abort. So they're bored at work. I don't know, do Sudoku. Someone will get pregnant again, not want it. It's the rapture. Who wants to bring a baby into the tribulation? Anyways, I'm getting really dark. But on the flip side of that, there was a YA series that was created that was called Left Behind the Kids, which sounds supremely screwed up. It's a bunch of children and teenagers who got left behind after the rapture, and they're having to deal with living through the tribulation and the rise of the Antichrist and all of the crazy stuff that happens. And I'm curious about those books. So I'm wondering, if I read a couple of them, would you guys be interested to hear me talk about them? Now, the way I would talk about them, I am not going to get into theology. I'm not going to get in people's personal religious beliefs. I would approach these purely as entertainment. And I would review them critically as a piece of writing, as entertainment. I am not going to be there to critique people's beliefs when it comes to the end times, to the rapture, to Christianity in general. That is for a different discussion. And I'm not saying it's not a discussion that should be had. I'm just saying this channel is not the place for that discussion to happen. And I'm not the person to have it with, because I really don't have the theological background to really come out swinging on that one or to really give an informed opinion. And I don't want to give you guys bad info. I try and, that's why I'm trying to keep this stuff up here. That's why I'm constantly looking over. And as a subject that is that personal and important to people, I don't want to go off half-cocked. But I do think it would be interesting to look at them as a form of entertainment. So if that is something that interests you, say it down in the comments. Let me know, because if that mention does get a response, then maybe I'll pick up the first 2 books, because they are wafer thin books, and give them a try and see if I can analyze them and review them critically. And obviously I'll poke some fun. That's what I do. I like being a little snarky. I'm a bitch, so sue me. It comes with being a gay man. But yeah, okay. So I'm gonna wrap this up because this video has gone long enough. So if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe and hit that little bell, because then you'll get to know when new videos come out. New videos so far, and we've been sticking to this, are released on Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. Obviously, you do not have to watch them the first time they are released, but that's when they pop up. And hopefully you guys are enjoying what you're seeing. I know I'm very rambly. That's just how I am. I like to talk. But I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Don't know what that is just yet. Trying to figure it out. I have some ideas up here in the noggin. And until then, keep enjoying what you're reading, love what you love, and have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. And I will see you in the next one.